What do you think of when you hear the words Guantanamo Bay? Do you picture the prison from Shutter Island? Of terrorists, the infamous worst of the worst? The actual reality of Guantanamo Bay is much grimmer. The fact is that 78 men have been deemed innocent simply at the wrong place at the wrong time. However, they are still being detained in our prison. And you cannot forget about the 38 men that the United States cannot provide evidence of guilt, but still deemed too dangerous to be let out. Limbo and Cruelty in Guantanamo is an article written by the New York Times about the necessity to close down Guantanamo Bay Prison. Though I agree with the article's argument in favor of shutting down Guantanamo Bay, the editorial staff missed an opportunity by omitting a few key arguments. The authors failed to fully convey what America is losing by keeping this heinous institution running. First off, America loses tons of taxpayer dollars by keeping Guantanamo Bay open, as well as losing standing and reputation in the international audience. To begin, a major economic opportunity that was missed by the authors was the yearly cost of Guantanamo Bay, as well as listing more practical penitentiary options. A CNN article reported on May 17, 2013, that the extreme cost of running the prison camp cost the Pentagon more than $150 million a year, which is $900,000 per prisoner. And honestly, CNN even misrepresented whose pockets are truly being harmed by the cost of this prison: the American taxpayers. A very simple solution to this problem would be to store these prisoners at a federal penitentiary. According to the same CNN article I mentioned before, by comparison, costs for a typical federal prison inmate run about $25,000 a year. And at the Supermax prison in Colorado that holds domestic terrorists Eric Rudolph and Ted Kaczynski, it's about $60,000. The difference in cost of the most expensive domestic option in Guantanamo Bay is $840,000. And this is in a time where America has been on the edge of an economic crisis. So saving $840,000 per prisoner would be a very wise monetary option. By ignoring this argument, the New York Times lost the opportunity to sway both sides of the political spectrum by being fiscally responsible. Secondly, and arguably most important, America's reputation is at stake by keeping the doors to this prison open. First off, you have the fact that Guantanamo Bay is infamous for most of the international community finds to be torturous. For example, the authors neglected to mention a relatively unnecessary medical use of the anti-malarial drug of mefloquine and its adverse side effects. The Freedom of Information Act release indicated that mefloquine is administered by mouth upon arrival at a treatment dose of 1,250 milligrams before laboratory testing for malaria, as well as irrespective to the presence of symptoms of this disease. Though I understand the necessity to make sure that this disease does not spread in the prison, according to the Journal of Tropical Medicine and International Health, the drug mefloquine has been linked to nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, as well as harming the central nervous system by causing dizziness, giddiness, as well as psychosis. The journal then stated that we originally gave it to American troops at risk of malaria, but after the side effects were realized, we stopped administering the drug. America has a fair and just reputation to uphold, and by committing what should be considered medical abuse, we are not maintaining an appropriate reputation among the global community. After all, we would not want a foreign prison doing this to our citizens, so we should follow the moral route and not do this to our prisoners. America can also set a negative reputation by ignoring multiple international guidelines requiring a fair trial. According to Utrecht Law Review, on the international level, a fair trial is guaranteed in the Geneva Conventions. Second, the human rights treaties such as the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the American Convention on Human Rights, and the American Declaration of the Rights and Duties of Man, the European Convention for the Protection of Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, the Arab Charter on Human Rights, and lastly, the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Not only is it guaranteed in the United States Constitution, but the international community finds it to be a necessity for justice. Since we are part of a multitude of international organizations, such as the United Nations, we should subscribe to a fair trial mindset in all circumstances, and not just when it seems convenient. So in conclusion, though I agree with Limbo and Cruelty at Guantanamo, I believe the authors could have been more convincing on both sides of the political spectrum with a full analysis of what America is losing. Because America is losing both money that the government could be applying to more beneficial aspects, as well as losing a positive reputation by maintaining the unjust prison. Thank you.